What's going on, people? How is it? How is it? So I want to debug this error, but it's super sus. Some stuff that's happening here that would affect the efficiency of the compiler generally. Like, here we have the same block pushed twice. Here we have the same block pushed twice. Here we have this. Are we pushing all the blocks twice? Like, what's going on? The for loop twice I could get over, but like we're literally fucking pushing blocks twice all the time. So we have to look into that. But that is not the bug. What compiler situation are we going to fix? So this is something that I've been working on in the background, and it's been a huge bummer. I mean, it's been good. Okay, so it's been good, and it's been a huge bummer. The deal is, you know, when you're deciding how to make a compiler, you have to make architectural decisions about how it works and how it does things, and everyone makes slightly different decisions. And if you're trying to do something hard like we're doing here, those decisions could be very complicated. It could be very difficult to understand them even when you're making them. And then over time, you know, you try a bunch of things, you put things together, things evolve, and then eventually you maybe have something maybe some part of your system is a lot more complicated than you wish it was. And that's bad, right? It's especially bad if it's a very core part of your system, such as, for example, looking up identifiers, aka what even is the name of this variable in my program? What does that mean? It just got super complicated, and it's still too complicated even after all this work that I'm doing. And part of the reason it's complicated has to do, again, with the fact that compilation in this programming language is super nonlinear. So anytime you look up an identifier, The answer might be we don't know yet, come back later, right? And then the way in which we don't know yet, come back later could get complicated. So over time, when systems are messy like that, sometimes bad things can happen and you just kind of get by. So the come back later facility was sort of got to the point where it was being unintentionally abused by various features like compound declarations and macros and stuff, where those things were supposed to be, I don't know how to describe it, but they were supposed to finish their operations and declare everything that they were going to insert into that function and whatever. And that just sort of wasn't happening that quickly. But programs were compiling fine, because if a macro is supposed to insert a variable and it's not there yet, we just come back and try again later, right? On the one hand, that's kind of a versatile thing to do. On the other hand, it's a messy thing to do, and it has consequences later, like when it comes to like error messages, like reporting to people if an identifier is undeclared is an important thing to be able to do with high confidence. But in a system that gets really messy like this, it becomes hard to do that with high confidence sometimes, or that becomes very complicated. And so, the past several years, really, since I want to say 2020, the bulk of my work on the compiler has been about making it more robust, but a big part of that is simplifying it, rewriting systems so they're better. And so I said, now that I understand the programming language a lot better, I can make a better decision about how identifier lookup should work that will retain the versatility of the language for the most part, but won't involve this try again later in all the cases where it's happening now. And that could then lead to much more hardened and robust compiler internals, much more certainty about what's happening, and therefore better error messages, and it'll be easier to work on the compiler and stuff. And so that is what I've been doing, and it's been sort of my side task. I mean, we did our weekend projects for the past couple weeks, but aside from that, it's been my side task, and it's taken a while because it's one of those bummer things where you spend several days just like grinding on stuff. But I think we're pretty far in it. Like, I've been doing it incrementally, and we've got several increments put to bed. And I think this is the last bug in this increment. And it may be an easy bug, it may be a gnarly bug. I don't know. So that's the situation. Any questions about that situation specifically that are not like sarcasm joke questions, please? Do I have a time frame in mind? Well, I was hoping that it would be a few days initially, and then it turned into a bigger, messier thing, and then I was hoping it would be a few days plus a few days, and maybe that's about what it's been, but it's been spread over weeks, right? Because I've had other stuff happening. What are the situations that you think you can avoid the try again later? Well, in the beginning, I was like, okay, everything about this language has to be try again later, because you could add code at compile time that doesn't exist initially that might define variables that don't exist and stuff, right? And so we just have to keep polling for variables to see if they exist. Now I want something more hardcore than that. And actually, we've gone in steps away from the fully banana cakes version of what I just said toward things that are more static. Because again, you know, people who watch the stream will know I'm a big fan of static languages. So we've been getting mildly more static about identifier declarations for a long time. And now we're sort of doing a change in language semantics that says you're not really allowed to just wait for something to become declared. If you try to use a variable and it doesn't exist and there's not something obviously waiting that might add that variable already, then it's an undeclared identifier, right? So like the program can't just keep going and the variable shows up later. It's an error at that time. And that, you know, that involves some slight tweaks in what you're allowed to do, but they're all fine. They all maintain the power of the programming language. I don't know why people always want to ask, how is the feedback from the beta people? I'm not in high school. Can you see now why the C developers did it the way they did it with everything having to be declared before use? Yeah, I mean, I knew that before. It's just the simplest thing to do. Like, there's no mystery behind that. It's not like people are wondering why they did it that way. It's very obvious. But that has downsides. And so one of the things about this language was I was willing to put in the extra work to make up for, or to give programmers less downside and more benefit. Is this some of the work Raphael's been working on as well? No, he's doing different stuff. Different stuff that is also very important. But yeah, not really connected. You know, the internet's way too full of people saying what they think about other things that people think about other things. Like, YouTube is now becoming full-on React content, right? So, like, I don't care. I don't care. It's been React content for years. It seems like it's even more that way now. Like, it's just becoming totally banana cakes. Because it's just so easy to do React content, right? And that's just what happens. People gravitate toward the easiest thing that's the least work. Okay, so I don't know how long I'm going to do this stream. We're just going to see if I'm in the mood to stream or work on it by myself. But that is the explanation of the situation. And I made some significant changes in this direction, and I've got a little if-def that turns them off and on, and everything passes right now except for one thing in Sokoban. And the thing in Sokoban that doesn't pass is this. We can look at the error message. It doesn't like this identifier bucket because it's blocked by this inserter, but this inserter shouldn't be blocking this. Now, the thing with inserts and whatever, it gets complicated and confusing. So one of the things I want to do is figure out which copy of this are we talking about. Are we talking about the one that we actually parsed? I don't think so, because I think that's impossible, because it's in a polymorphic function. So it's got to be, I mean, I think I know when it is, but I would like to verify. It's got to be after this macro is expanded, after the thing goes in, but before the insert could be applied. Now, when we do flatten on this insert, we're supposed to propagate. Okay, part of the new thing that I'm doing is I'm changing how it works, that you know something. Like one of the things you want to know about identifiers is, you know, is it used before declared, for example. There's other things where we care about ordering as well, right? Like, do I come before this insert or after this insert? If I come before it, I don't wait on the insert because it's not going to insert anything that's in my scope. So I changed, one of the big changes that I made was I just changed how all that works. How do we decide if something is before or after something? And what I had before was a little bit rocket sciencey and hard to think about, and what I have now is dumb and easy to think about. However, the information appears to be wrong in this case. So let's just let's find out when this identifier is created, and then when it gets its statement index set. So before the stream, I was looking at actually, let me just make sure. So this ident, right, is that. This is also the top thing on the stack. It's where we ran out of gas because we couldn't figure it out, right? We have yield upon, which is this insert. It's called yield upon because this is, we're looking up the identifier and we say we can't do it right now. Why? Because of this. This thing is not ready. Now, I just want to make sure this is the same thing as, yeah, 7FC508. 7FC508. Okay. If it comes down to it, we could work around this problem by saying, bro, we're you know, we're inferring and type checking this insert currently, so obviously we should not wait on it, right? However, I would like to not resort to that hack if I don't have to. So let's figure it out. All right, so well, we could make it work and ship the compiler. It's just we're trying to make things as clean as possible. That's the point of this whole exercise. The line must be drawn here. do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, so this identifier, yeah. Substitute loop control. Okay, this is interesting. That makes sense. Makes complete sense. Duh. It's not actually the one I would have guessed, though. Anyway, so we come up, we're substituting the loop control. We set the substitution. We local push. Okay. This is statement index 3. So this statement index is how we know who's before who. Oops. So I just want to look up the statement index of the insert. Two. So somehow this is already wrong. This is why it's saying the insert's at position 2 and we're at position 3. What is going on? Okay, so what? So this is the original loop control. Has statement index for identifier lookup 3. Oh, I could have looked at the insert here. Let's triple check that, but okay, now this seems wrong anyway. We're inserting some body of code. Yeah, you know, the thing is, maybe we just set a flag on the insert that we executed our insertion. Then we don't have to check back. That makes sense. Hold on. Oh, but this is, yeah, this is a different place. This is a different place. Okay, I get it. I get it. Although, I mean, this is the most complicated example of this. This is a for expansion containing an insert, and it's just hard to think about. Right, we ran a for loop. We're like, hey, this is a for loop on a custom data type. Let's do this for expansion. Okay, we're expanding it. Oh, it's got an insert directive. Okay, let's do the insert directive. And then we're inserting the body, and while inserting the body, we hit a loop control, which is just part of the user's random code, like a break statement. In fact, it is a break statement in this case, and we say, hey, we hit a break statement. Are we remapping that right now? And it's like, oh yeah, we totally are, because we're in this insert that's remapping that statement. So I'm just reminding myself of everything that's happening here. So this is all things that are happening. Any notes on that Maya chai? What do you mean? I drink it all the time. Why would there be notes? I sure am glad people are complaining or arguing about editors in the chat. That's great. That's great. Okay. Now, so we have this insert. The insert's on the stack. The for loop's on the stack below it. We're doing all this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. So the insert, this is the code that we're looking at now. It's expanding things. There sure is a bunch of code for that. Okay. So the case that we're looking at is going to be this case up here, I think. So we do this stuff. We say need push and flatten. We come down here. We do this. We've got this end insert tied to for expansion, which you should be able to see on the stack. That's it right there. And we also do this end loop body. That's this one, 28. End loop body. Okay, so we do local push right here for the expansion. That's what inserts the user's code, right? So this right here, this statement index for expansion, is what's going to be different. I don't understand why. Why is it not always the statement index of the insert? Fuck off, I don't care. Okay, so this I'm sure lexical rescope is set, yes. Okay, I don't think this is correct. I don't think this is correct. I think this is a conceptual error. But I feel like maybe I'm wrong about that, and we're going to find that out when we try it out. Yeah, I think I was confused. Like basically when I was adding the statement index, I had to decide in a bunch of different cases what it was going to be. And that might be a case that I just got wrong. Which will make me happy because I get to simplify out another if statement. Okay, that didn't help. Literally at all. I mean, if this is right, or more right, it's obviously still not working, but if this is right, I could delete all this. I could delete this member variable on insert because it's always this, I think. Let's see why that didn't help. Oh, we don't want this breakpoint for now. Do not want the breakpoint. Guys, what is going on in chat? Can you, like, maybe... maybe chill? I mean, guys, I'm using a debugger right now, by the way. You guys might have noticed I don't edit in Visual Studio, which makes all of these discussions, in the context of this channel, it makes all these discussions more ridiculous. Why not use Remedy? Because last time I tried using it, it had some bugs that made it not usable. They may be fixed now, but again, I have a lot going on. It takes time and energy to switch programs and use a new one, and I'll just wait until hopefully things are better. Unable to resolve this identifier. Okay, so all we have is copy pasta this. Now this is yield upon. Okay, this is weird. Let's go back and check this again. So it's 2. Maybe one or the other of these is changing at a time when we don't expect. That's another thing, is like, because this is a new concept, sometimes maybe I overwrite things and it's not good. Okay. So we're substituting the loop control again. So the insert is 2. Which is correct. And the identifier is changing to 3 at some point. This one, we could clean this up later, but... Oh, I didn't change this. I thought I changed this. Well... Hey, we compiled Sokoban. Let's run it. Now we have to, of course, verify. This is great. I mean, people who work for me have used Sublime before. I don't really have an opinion about it. It just never seemed like something I was that interested in, so I never used it, but that's fine. Okay, let's run the tests. I kind of want ice cream, but I just ate, so there ain't no room for ice cream yet. Okay, this is, if this works, this is a major milestone. Oh! Kick in the nuts. Oh, right. Okay. I actually, I know why. I know why. I know why the caged bird sings. Okay, we'll run this again, and if those pass, we will try out the Sokoban again. Sokoman. This all appears to be working. Let's do this one. When we will be going that way for the identifier lookup. So the appropriate statement index is not that of the insert, since the insert is invisible in the lexical rescope in the target scope. So we use as for the original code. Cool, cool. Okay. So, yeah. This substituted identifier happens lexically from within the insert, so should be its statement index. Cool, cool. Cool. Oh my god. Oh my god. Unbelievable. So I'm going to take the W here. I didn't think it would be that easy to fix this. Dude, guys, I've seen things you would not believe. I've spent so much time debugging gnarly shit in this compiler. It's like changed me as a person. So anytime things go easy, I'm happy for it. We'll play a celebration song in a second. Let's take the W. Fixed imperative scope inserter enablement on Sokoban and all tests. Enabled by default. We're going to remove that maybe in the next installment, I think. Or maybe not quite. All right, we're going to have a celebration song. We could watch Dr. Lupo play Legend of Zelda. celebration song. Okay. This is great. So unfortunately, what it means is that I have to move to the next boss monster on the next level. But, and maybe I won't be in the mood to debug this tonight, because getting what we just checked in, that was my goal for today. That goal has been achieved. Now we get to see how much of a mess is there if we turn on this other thing. Simple program. It compiles. Interesting. Oh, did I? Let's see what exactly these are. Okay. Okay. Okay, I mean, actually, maybe not that big of changes. This might, there's some chance this might work. And if it does, then I can clean out those if-defs and all that. Ah! Sounded like this was a long-term problem. It is a long-term problem, but I've put in a bunch of work on the long-term problem. So, you know, placeholder was not filled. Okay. That's a pretty simple program. Oh, circular dependencies. Okay, so that's a thing to debug. This is some program with a ton of output, so we're going to ignore that for now. Undeclared identifier map anonymous. Yeah. So this, okay. This is one of these things. So all the work that I was talking about, most of which happened off stream, was like, I tried to do this that I'm doing right now. There were several problems. I started solving them, and one of them turned out to be pretty big. And I was like, oh man, I'm just going to revert and backtrack and solve that problem preemptively so that when I come over and do this, it'll work better. So now what I'm seeing is there's another problem where this, you don't totally see it, but there's a using here. These programs are failing with the same, you know, anyone who's calling whatever function this is in default allocator is failing, or maybe only in some conditions, but you know, these are failing on the same code. So it's not, you know, it's not as many fails as it might be. Undeclared identifier. Same. Yeah, so this map anonymous thing is, I think, what it looks like there's 3 different problems here. Circular dependency, this thing, which is a macro related thing, and this thing, or this thing. So that's not so bad, although some of them could be gnarly. You never know. I would like to find the simplest one of these that produces this problem, and we can at least look at it. And then maybe we turn this back off, because it's quite possible that, like, let's look at the code, by the way. Oh, so it's a static if. That's literally right here. Okay, when we do this, we're supposed to flag that this if is not resolved. Okay? And we're not supposed to undeclared identifier until the if is resolved. So something about that is not working. You know, so it's just so easy to argue about stuff like editors and whatever on the internet. And I just think there's literally no point in arguing on the internet about most things unless the person has a visual reputation that you can back up, right? Or that you can use to evaluate whether you should, you know, how seriously you should take that person's opinion and how you should apply it, right? You know, if they've shipped stuff and you know what that stuff is, or you can go see it and say, you know, then it's like, okay, well, this person is obviously able to build this class of thing. I still may not want to do things the way that person does, but it at least acts as validation, right? But it's just too easy for people to just talk random shit. Like, one of the great diseases of modern times is people saying a bunch of shit loudly, especially on the internet, that it doesn't matter to them if it's correct or not, because they suffer no penalty from it being wrong. And so we're just drowning in this kind of speech that's just trash, right? And so you either have to ignore it all because so much of it is trash, or in cases where you can validate that it may not be trash in individual times and places, then that can be useful, right? But like, otherwise, there's just no point at this point. Random Hacker News Opinion versus John Carmack. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Okay. So what's the simplest program that is generating this? This might be very simple. It might be... I'm more scared of the macro one. Okay, cross-compile, This is happening in cross-compile a lot of the time, which makes me sus. I mean, I don't know if that's a coincidence. It might just be that they're calling whatever function this is. Oh, yeah, this is in mmap. Let's just make a stupid ass simple program. Oh. What the hell is the offset? Like, literally nobody uses that argument. I don't know if we have visibility on that. I forget. So let's just see. We don't. Okay, import default allocator. Okay, that didn't cause the problem. Oh, because it only happens in Linux. That's why only the cross compiling is generating it. Let's just do this. What if we just do that? Okay, there. Okay, this is good. We have a very simple repro. We like simple repros. So simple. Like, oh, well, no, not so simple, because maybe that's just cross-compiling not working. I mean, cross-compiling is new. We do get literally undeclared identifier in this case. Let me just go back to this. Okay, undeclared identifier. Again. Okay. Okay, this is a mega clue. I know it's okay. That fails, that doesn't fail. And the reason is because this is scheduled Oh, wait, weird. Really? What is going on? Okay, this is failing. We're going to delete map private. Now it's not. Oh. Oh. Okay. So now can we do this? Yes. Okay. How about this? No. Okay. Interesting. So what's supposed to happen is we look this up. We look in this scope. This scope isn't done being inferred yet. And so I added a thing that was supposed to handle that. And it did work in some cases. It's not working here. So we're just going to have to look it up. But we have a very simple repro. And, you know, if we fix this one, that's gravy. It's beyond the Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or Battlefield. And it'll be a good thing. Okay, so let's get rid of this stupid thing that I did. Gonna go here. We're gonna do this, and we're going to break in when we report the error. Boom, and that helps us find the identifier. Oh, we're on. See, okay, we're already reaping benefits of this new thing. Because now that this is turned on, we report the undeclared identifier right away. So I was about to do a lengthy thing, not lengthy, but a thing I do all the time where we figure out the stamp on the identifier, rerun using that stamp to figure out and get to here. But actually, this is where we're resolving the identifier right here. And this is what I was saying at the beginning of the stream about hardening the compiler having benefit. Like, this stuff matters when you're trying to debug. All right. All right. So that's good. Now, I think this just might be wrong because we have saw insert or static if somewhere. Oh, this is in resolve one ident. I thought, okay, this calls some helper functions to look things up. So this is where we actually looked it up. Now we didn't get a yield upon, which I'm a little surprised at. Well, maybe not, because that would be the bug. Okay, so now we have a much tighter thing where we just go here. I mean, I could maybe jump up there, but that could involve surprises. Whereas, here we go. All right. We're going to find the scope entry. Current scope. It should be in literally this scope, right? So current scope L0 is 1. Okay, so my guess is that this if has not inferred yet. I mean, that would just cause what we're seeing, right? Because if we haven't inferred yet, we don't put this. So if I see waiting on inserters, it's going to be null. Let's flag 1. Parenthesized by user. What? Okay. That's fine. The thing is, current scope, this is probably set. No, it's not. It's such unnecessary. Right, the parents, the constants block. It is unnecessary. The statement index. All right. So the thing is, that's what we were keying off to know if this has been processed yet. Somewhere. I want to clean this up. Okay. So The reason this is flagged as unnecessary it's an imperative block inside a data scope. So, I mean, like I said, I was kind of using that to identify, although I don't see how that would have come into play here. Let me just refresh my memory. There is a new yield that was added here somewhere. It's down here. It doesn't, this is maybe in the wrong place, actually. Wait, this is not, what am I doing? That's not even it. It's this one that I just added today off stream. And we only check it on the parent, which is not good. But like I said, okay, there's two choices at least here. One is only set the statement index on the block when it has gone live. And because the time it's gone live is when it sets those flags about static ifs and so forth. The thing I don't like about that is it couples these two things in a way that might be confusing. It's like you might forget that you're only supposed to set it at that time, or it might be annoying and difficult to only set it at that time. In fact, yeah, it might be pretty difficult. I don't know. Okay, part two, instead, maybe we just set a flag on the block. And we say, this block has gone live. And if it hasn't gone live, then we can't use it. Now, the problem with this, I feel like I'm going to be sad as soon as I start doing this, because a bunch of stuff's not going to work. Because, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. So we could just add a new block flag. Only applies to blocks, and we say, hey, you can't use this yet. And then, so the failure mode for that would be just, if that's not set correctly, identifier lookups will yield indefinitely, which will create a circular dependency error, which is not something we like. But with the statement index stuff, I had to set that in a bunch of places, and I'm happy I did it now that it is done. With this, I feel like it's in fewer places. I mean, I'm tempted to just try it. Is there anything I should check in? So I could put this here. And like we just set it. Okay. So make scope be live. Okay. So I doubt that's the only place that we need to do that. To be honest, though, I'm doubting what I just declared was the solution to this because of the following issue. See, this is where designing this programming language gets fucking hard. Imagine if instead of these things, I have macro, right? Macro is going to have insert code, right? And code looks like that. I mean, except this is capital. What's going on? We're causing metaprogram plugins to complain for some reason. I'm not sure. Not sure what that's about, but okay. So see this? This also we need a different rule in cases like this. I'm going to revert that flag because this doesn't solve it. So here's the thing. When you're in an imperative scope and you're going top to bottom, I mean, it's like a C program, right? For the most part, like things that come earlier, have to get inferred before the things that use them. So you know the types of everything and everybody's happy. There is an exception that we make. This is one of these like style points in the language where you could put constant declarations down at the bottom or anywhere because we want to make imperative scopes more versatile, just like top level scopes where you can just paste stuff around and not worry about it as much. In a case like this, that causes a problem because you need to be able to use stuff later in the block that is not ready. And also, so in an imperative or in a declarative scope, like the things that could, like, you can't just expand a macro in a declarative scope, I don't think. Right. I mean, I don't feel like this is legal. Maybe I made that legal one day when I was crazy. Yeah, I didn't. And the reason is because you can't tell from looking at this what it is. Maybe it could insert some names and maybe not. Right. Actually, I mean, all this, you know what? This is all very silly, the way I did this, right? It could be like that. Okay, that actually works for some fucking reason. I realized the thing that I typed doesn't work because it's equivalent to this, which actually it's correct. It's correct in this case to undeclared identifier. So I guess what I'm wondering right now is why does this even work? Now I'm confused. Because if this wasn't ready, this definitely shouldn't have been ready. So why did this guy? What is my current feeling about adding closures? I don't care about closures very much. I don't care about them very much. They're not worth the complexity for the most part. We do have other function-related features that might naturally lead to closure support, but we would be doing those features first. Honestly, I don't give two shits about closures. They're not, we haven't needed them in our game, for example. Do I use a fancy chair? Usually, yes. I was going to bring my fancy chair home from the office, and I forgot. I don't know if it would fit in my car. It probably would. If I took it apart, I don't know. Is a compilation order deterministic? No, it is not. You can't be deterministic and fast. However, you could, if you wanted a reproducible binary order and stuff, you could on the back end, serialize. Yeah, I don't know why this works. I also don't know how it's 8 p.m. already, guys. What is going on? What is going on? I mean, I could do the same thing. I think we have a, well, so the problem is that identifier is not going to have the same serial number anymore because we changed the program. Let's act, oh, you know, we actually, let's try putting this up here to see if it matters. It does. Okay, so neither, that's what I thought. So it only happened to work for some luck of scheduling reason. But when we do this, we change that around. So here's the thing. I think this is the point where I need to go off and think for a little bit, because like a policy change is in order regarding the programming language, because there's nothing, you know, the way macros work and stuff, they could just insert code, right? So there's nothing here that yeah, okay, I want to think on that. Okay, so the whole reason this is, even though this looks tremendously simple, the whole reason it's a little more complicated is because this gets scheduled separately because it's constant, because we let you do that. And then because of that, we go visit this block before this macro is expanded, and we're like, well, this isn't there. What are you talking about, right? And now this is what I was saying at the beginning of the stream. Before, in this case, we would just try again later, try again later. And then eventually this macro expands and we find the thing. Okay? That's not super good for several reasons. Not least of which is you could get the wrong fucking variable if there's another one up here, right? So that's bad, and we have to avoid it in some way. Maybe I should just bag it on the constant declarations being able to be at the bottom. I mean, I kind of like that for functions and stuff. The thing is, macros just don't. I mean, if we change the macro syntax so that you know you're calling a macro, that's okay. One alternative, you just don't do the constant thing. It'll make my life simpler. Um, Another alternative, allow this kind of retrying when it's in a different scheduled thing. Let me write these down. One, don't allow constant declarations in the imperative scopes out of order. Two, change the macro declaration syntax so that we know it's a macro and can treat it as an inserter. And what this means is just then we know when it hasn't happened yet. That said, that still doesn't solve, like we still would have this bug, but then if we did this one, we could go do the flagging that I started to type in and then undid, right? Because then it would make sense. Three, or macro, not declaration, macro calling syntax. That's annoying. The downside of that is that it's nice to not care whether something's a function or a macro. And like now you would have to care. Okay. 3. There was a third option. Always retry identifiers just in the case of a separate queued error. Error if that statement is reached by the infer cursor in the outer procedure. So here we're saying, hey, we could just keep retrying this, but we actually also know if we infer or we make live everything down through here, and we hit this, actually, dude, I'm fucking confused now. Wait. Wait, I may have been laboring under incorrect assumptions this whole time. Because the place, see, this is like I forget things or I don't put everything in the same place. This gets scheduled as a separate unit in the go live, okay? This gets flagged as being a static if in the go live. These happen at the same time. So it actually, my whole theory about the Brontosaurus is incorrect, I think. Let's just comment out this stuff because it has nothing to do with anything. I'm so tired today, guys. You guys know about the theory about the Brontosaurus, right? Let's take another educational moment. There's a few different, I think we have to do the original. Oh, that's a live show. This is the original. Wait. Is it this one?
Good evening. Tonight?
Oh, this is just audio, dude. Bro. Come on, dude. What? How come nobody... How come nobody has this actual... It's because they copyright claimed everybody who put it up. Except all these other sketches. Okay, we can't... I'm sorry. We strive to be educational, but we can't always do it. You know? Yeah, the Matrix does not want you to know the truth. It's very sad. Okay. Now, I have to just figure out what the fuck is... This might actually be an easy bug. Actually. Let's go back to this. It takes so long to just have an identifier. Okay. So, let's make sure this is actually... We set the scope cursor. Yeah, all right. Oh, I just deleted it. Okay, so this should have a static if count. Oh, wait. Maybe the static if count. How do we treat static if? Saw insert or static if. So do static ifs count as inserters in declarative scopes? I thought. So here's in data scope, we add an inserter. Okay. That's the actual problem, is that we do not add an inserter for static if in declarative scope, which means we don't wait for it. Maybe I should dare to... Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to backtrack on this change, remember? And we're going to say temporary change static if makes inserters in imperative scopes. This is one of the things is just imperative and declarative scopes were working so differently. We would like that not to be the case. Okay. Wow, I am tired today. I don't know why today went by so fast. We might have to play some puzzle game. Let's at least do this. We're gonna go, if not this, and if, okay? And then I'm holding all this stuff around. I'm just going to paste it there because that's where it's going to go. We're going to put this actually next to insert, because static if is conceptually same dealy bopper as directive static if, yeah, okay. Static if has gone live. All right, just let's reverse this. We'll early out. Easy clap, easy clap. If it's a data scope, we queue. All right. Got to rename scope to okay. Static if has gone live. Puzzle games with mic audio. I don't know. Guys, it's a weird psychological thing, but I think just having the camera on makes me a lot more tired when I stream. Like, I feel really tired right now. And I don't tend to feel that way when the camera's off, so it's like all the tribes who said it steals your soul, they were correct. Oh. I didn't get all the scopes. Oh. I'm getting hungry again, which means there's room for ice cream. Did I screw up my... Oh, I screwed up this. Okay, so this probably is going to cause errors. And there is, working through those errors would be the same kind of slog as usual. Oh my God. Well, we fixed that problem. That's a little bit of a bonus, regardless of what else happens. The thing with the macro is still a problem, though, honestly. So I think I still need to think very deeply about that. Oh, I didn't if this. Lol. We are being careful about this change. NDFI. All right. Yeah, it's causing some problems. It's not a complete disaster, but unable to resolve this identifier because it's blocked. Yes. But you see, this is the same kind of a problem. Is it something declared in local scope? And now that an if is an inserter, it's blocking this from being able to know what a fucking int is, which that's its own scenario, but yeah. This identifier is blocked by an inserter. Okay, this is weird because this is line 875, this is line 857. You're supposed to ignore that, broski. So we're inside an if. Why did someone get rid of the else here? That's goofball. That might actually fix the problem, but we don't want it to. Yeah, interestingly, we still have the same. We have 1103. See, this is after. All right. I think I want to be done with this for tonight. Because like I said, there's some things to think about. We need the macro case to work in some way. If that doesn't work, then there's no point in making this work correctly if whatever we do for macros would have to work for this anyway. And going back, these are our three options. I mean, 3 is the one that I don't hate the most. But then if we do that one, we don't need inserters in. God damn it, dude. It's a lot of work to try to do the good version of things that is high quality and works very well. You know what I'm saying? It is not always easy. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn it into a gaming stream again. I'm going to do camera off but mic on for the gaming stream. Actually, before we do that, let's just make sure I can check in. Sorry. What are you doing? Because I think I can. Yeah, but here. Yeah, this is like a fundamental problem in the language semantics that we've sort of, it's not that nutty of a problem. It doesn't come up that much, let me put it that way. But it is bad. It is bad, and we have to fix it. You like 2 seems like it would make the code easier to read. That is something we could think about. I kind of don't like it just because we work so hard to make macros stream like just functions. Although that said, I mean, the big unknown around all of this is that the macro system may just have to change a lot. Because it's not as powerful as I think it should be. And why not? And does that mean we need to redesign stuff? But so for example, right now, you know, with the assert, we define it as an empty macro instead of a function. And like, if you have to know if something's a macro or a function, that doesn't work. Now that said, maybe it could be only if it's a macro that exports names into your scope. Anyway, so we can check this in right now. Geez, I have worked so much on some of this stuff. You wouldn't believe it, guys. And it's stuff that seems like it would be simple, but once the feature set becomes a certain way, it gets gnarly. It gets gnarly. And sort of what you discover sometimes is that even though each of the features that you're doing seems to make sense individually, that when you put them together, they're like not mutually consistent, right? They don't form a consistent picture. So they don't form a consistent Babby. I mean, exactly. So what do we do about that? I don't know. Yeah, this is something that I need to think about. Because like I said, whatever macro is harder than if, because static if, you can already tell that it's a static if, right? The deal with a macro is we don't know if it's a macro or a function. And that actually matters a lot. But it also looks like if we turn on having static if block lookups, there's some kind of issue that probably isn't that hard to solve with that as well. All right, we're going to become a gaming stream. No camera, yes microphone. I'm probably going to get some ice cream. But I'm going to restart this stream just right now, and we'll have a little bit of all right. Restarting stream.